Sheila E., thank you so much for coming in.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Awesome to be here with you today. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Tomorrow's your birthday. You're in town to play First Avenue for the first time in quite a few years.
Yeah.
So was the last time you played First Avenue the 777 shows where you played Macy's and then the Target Center, and then I think you guys went on at, 2:30 in the morning at First Avenue?
I don't remember what time it was. It was all a blur. Yeah, but that was the last time, and I'm really excited to play there. It's been a while, and a lot of good memories there. So, yeah, we were flying over coming in last night, and I was just thinking about all kind of things like, man, I'm here celebrating my birthday. It's 61 years, and what Minneapolis means to me, and family. This is home, and just excited to be here. I had that fuzzy, anxious butterfly. I'm gonna cry. I'm not. I'm happy. It was just like really emotional coming in. Like, I'm very, very happy to be here today. So yeah.
Something I was thinking about is as you came to Minneapolis and as you started working more with Prince, that was kind of in the era of you transforming from Sheila Escovedo into Sheila E., right? Mm-hmm. Can you tell me a little bit more about what was involved in that transformation?
It wasn't a lot, basically, other than dropping my last name and just saying Sheila E. That was one thing. And again, trying to see if that was going to work for the people that did know me. He started introducing me as Sheila E. to see what people would think, and people remembered my name easily or a lot better than Escovedo, because that was not pronounced always correctly. And then later on it was confusing because then they would call me Sheena E. or Sheila Easton. So it was just like, wait, what? I changed it so people could remember. That was one of the transitions. The other was, for me, knowing that I wanted to always be a solo artist and do my own music. It was more so of how would I play percussion and still maintain the foundation of who I am as an artist. It was a little bit different and challenging, and explaining to people, well, I am a percussion player. I sing a little bit, and I love dancing, and that was going to be the transition. Now, what I did for other people as being part of the band or a group, this would now be me in the forefront. And that was going to be fun.
I was watching an interview you did with Larry King, and you estimated that in the span of just 3 or 4 years that you and Prince must have recorded hundreds of songs together, which is just incredible to think about. I'm wondering if we could hear all of those recordings and kind of sift through them and reflect on them. What do you think we would learn about the way you influenced Prince's sound and the way he influenced you?
Yeah, we were always, trying to... The thing about, I was just saying earlier, is that there were no limits to us creating in the studio like we're in the studio right now. There are no limits. The limits that we have is what we put on ourselves. So in order to create and be different and be inspired as well, is that to try things you've never tried before. Well, let's try this mic on the kick drum or the snare, or let's sing a vocal in a kick drum mic. Let's change the sound. There are no rules, Every day you come in the studio, you're just creating. It's like, oh, here's another idea. Here's another idea. I have no idea what it sounds like right now, but I'm sure that my brand is who I am as an artist. There's that stamp is in that music for sure.
So there's been a lot of different things announced recently that people are going to do to celebrate Prince's legacy, whether it's a documentary or whether it's releasing his music. And I'm wondering, just as someone that knows him so well, what would be your preferred kind of medium or approach to really telling the future generations about Prince's legacy?
Well, I mean, there are many documentaries that are happening. A lot of people want to tell that story. And there's different ways of sharing who he is, as long as they get the story straight, and tell the truth, and share who he was and always will be to us, a great musician. My God. I mean, he's an incredible songwriter, but the musicianship, for me, us being in the studio all the time and playing is, the things that he would come up with. I mean, just sharing those stories. as long as they tell the truth and, share his legacy of music, I think it's great.
Yeah. Over the years, I've observed also a lot of people talking about Prince and trying to approach this idea of his legacy. And something that's always bothered me is the way people talk about him a little bit like he's an alien or like there's something like extraterrestrial about him because he's so talented and because he was a little eccentric. And those stories just irk me a little bit because I do hear these other stories about just what a kind and almost tender human being he was in the moments with his friends. So I'm wondering, just to close today, if you could share a story that would tell us something about Prince's humanity.
Everyone has a bad day, first of all. And so, yes, he was a great person, and he had bad days as well, like we all do. We're human. So he was different in his own way by the way I think he approached his music and how he wrote. Half the time recording with Prince, we would just finish setting up the gear and he's ready to count it off and play. There's no, let's spend 2 hours on a drum sound. No, we don't do that. Or let's clean up, the cowbells are rattling. That's what it should sound like, And I love that. So those things, he did differently, and I think that's what made him different, standing out and not being afraid of changing his sound, trying to experiment with drum machines and making it different and the different sounds on his guitar or the bass or the piano. And to me, I mean, I don't even know if that answers your question. I just think his approach is different in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like he was just always very in the moment.
He was.
Yeah.
He was, yeah.
Sheila E., thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
being here today.